And here we are. Welcome back, Greg.
Hey, welcome.
See ya. We are back. We're going to be talking about we've talked about a lot of weight loss related things. We've talked about body composition, and we're going to get really dig deep today. We want to dig deep into some the importance of muscle and maintaining muscle, and why that's a concern for some people. But before we do, just a reminder: this is educational and informational purposes only. We certainly recommend that you touch base with your medical provider before starting any weight loss program, any medication, any nutritional supplements. Just meet with your medical provider and get some guidance that way. We actually talked about that quite a bit last week as well, the importance of doing that, especially because if you're getting any kind of medication, it's really helpful to meet with your medical provider. And without doing that, we would recommend not doing the program. So with that said, we will hit our muscle mass. We want to talk about muscle. That's a big concern with weight loss. So we talk about GLP-1s. People lose a lot of weight. People are losing 20% of their body weight. It really changing the landscape of what weight loss means. And with that, there is a tendency to have some fear. We hear a lot of people talk about, well, I don't know if I want to, I don't know if I want to do Ozempic because I've heard that you lose all your muscle.
Yeah, it's all the weight I lose is,
that's all the weight I lose is
muscle and good mass, like bone
and those, A, not necessarily true, but B, yeah, that happens. And the reasons that it does, we want to talk about that so we can avoid that because it is way important. Like I'm trying to think of the word other than way important. It's super duper important to maintain muscle because we're going to talk about what your muscles do in your body a little bit and why and where this comes from. The idea that you lose muscle, and I think that comes from when people are not using the GLP-1 medicines or whatever medicine. We talked about several other options last week, using that as kind of the crutch and the mainstay of their weight loss, rather than a part of a bigger health plan.
Yeah.
I
agree. And because I get asked this all the time in clinic, like, oh, I don't want to try the GLP-1s. I don't want to try Tirzepatide or Semaglutide, however you pronounce it. Because I've heard that all you do is lose your muscle. Well, I can tell you for sure that anyone yourself or anyone that's ever tried to lose weight we're not even saying we really want to lose weight, right? What are we really saying? We're saying we want to lose fat.
Right.
I mean, no one
says I want to lose all my muscles.
Yeah. I just want to be really weak and frail. So we don't want to lose good mass. When we say good mass, we're always talking about bone and muscle.
Yeah.
Now, well before GLP-1s came along for weight loss, this was still a concern. It's been really amplified, mostly due to the fact that people do sometimes lose weight a little bit quicker than they were before. Sometimes the percentage that they lose is higher because they have this GLP-1 for support. And if these people don't change anything, if they don't move, if they don't use their muscles, well, they're going to have the same effect they would have had if they didn't use a GLP-1 to lose weight and they lost 20% of their overall mass.
Right.
They're going to wither away. They will lose some fat, but they will definitely lose some good mass, which is muscle and bone.
Yeah.
And we know that that's not what we're going for. People that want to lose weight, everyone that we talk to, all of our patients and all the studies would support that losing specifically fat when we're talking about losing weight is what we're all focused on. So I really think it's a valid question. I think it's valid that patients bring it up. They're concerned about it. We want you to be concerned about it because if all I have to say is, hey, yes, that's true, that can happen if you don't work out and you don't feed your muscles protein, and that's what gets you to do it, then I'm all for it. So having that fear built into that not all weight loss is equal and not all weight loss is good, I think is a good thing for patients to know.
Yeah, no, it's super important. So there's two things we want to talk about, like during weight loss, how to preferentially lose fat and keep muscle.
Yes.
And then afterwards, so the Skinny on Science section, we'll just incorporate that into what we're talking about today. There were some studies that were done, and I'm going to kind of look at the things that they looked at. So there's a big study that it was patients with obesity that lost on average, they lost about 12% of their body weight. And after they had lost the weight, then they were randomized into different groups. Mm-hmm. There was a group that did just exercise, an exercise program, okay, supervised kind of exercise program. There was a group that did GLP-1 medicines, liraglutide.
Yeah.
Okay. Then they took those to maintain their weight. There was a group that did both the GLP-1 and exercise.
Yeah.
And then there was a group that did neither of those things. They just had lost weight and they did nothing. And then they did that. They followed their weight maintenance for 1 year after that. Okay. All of the groups maintained their weight loss. Okay. But only the exercise groups improved things like their cardiovascular markers. So inflammation, their endothelial dysfunction markers, the thickness of their carotid artery, the internal parts of the carotid artery. It just increases your risk of stroke. The GLP-1 alone, so the people that just took GLP-1s did not improve these markers.
Once they stopped,
it was as if they did nothing. Like as far as those health markers go.
Yeah.
Okay, they maintained their weight, but their cardiovascular health did not improve. As far as their body composition, the exercise group preserved or increased their lean mass. That's what you're talking about, muscle and bone.
Lean mass. Yep.
The GLP-1 group that didn't exercise, they lost some lean weight. They lost some fat, mostly fat, but they lost lean weight. And then the combo group, they lost the most fat and preserved the most lean body weight. Right.
So the combo is really what it's saying, right? Is the combo doing the medication and exercising.
The only groups that maintained these markers of health were the exercise groups or the exercise and GLP-1 group.
Yep.
The GLP-1 group alone or the didn't do any of that group did not. And so the takeaway for that, I think, is weight loss alone is not health improvement, right? Exercise is the driver of cardiovascular health. And then we're going to talk about maintaining that muscle mass and what that does physiologically, because your muscles aren't just a cosmetic thing. They are a metabolic and endocrine organ. Like it is, they drive a whole lot of what's happening with your body.
And in terms of insulin, I mean, we talked about that 2 episodes ago and how important insulin is in terms of your body storing fat, utilizing glucose, and insulin is the biggest driver in muscle. It drives glucose into muscle if you're using it. I mean, if your storage is full and you're not using your muscles, well, it doesn't have anywhere else to put it but fat storage.
Right. Well, and as far as like getting rid of the glucose, like burning up the energy rather than storing it, your muscles handle 75% of that. Yeah. Right. Your muscles make up 30 to 50% of your mass, but they handle 75% of like the engine running and burning and using the energy rather than storing it as fat.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think Rick gave a good comparison, and I might be jumping ahead here, but we were talking about the difference of, if you start out as a V8 engine, a big engine that, in your truck that uses a lot of fuel, maybe that's not good if you're talking about a truck in terms of fuel consumption, but in the terms of body, if we're talking about losing weight, we want
the gas
to use that fuel up, right? Because you're trying to use the excess fuel, i.e. fat, to be able to use that. And, so you can't lose that muscle. So you're downgrading from your big truck to like a Honda Civic. And you still want to burn the same amount of fat. You
have to drive.
You have to drive
farther.
Yeah. So you have to do so much more in order to keep the same metabolic rate.
Yeah.
As opposed to your muscles being a big V8 engine. They just work. I mean, they're going to gobble up that energy so much better, so that you have so much more flexibility.
If you lose by losing the muscle mass, you're downgrading your engine essentially.
Absolutely,
you just literally can't burn as much or as efficiently. That's okay. I like that.
Yeah, I thought when we were talking about it earlier, when talking about doing this episode, I thought that was a good comparison. It's easy to understand basics of cars, right? A Honda Civic is not going to be as efficient as a big truck. It's not going to burn fuel. And that, in this case, for the body, we want to do that. And you want a big, strong V8 engine, right? If you need to do a lot of work, you're not going to get your friend's Honda Civic. You're going to get your friend's Tundra.
Well, and when we talk about your resting metabolic weight, we've talked about it before, that that's the energy that your body uses just by being alive. And your muscles drive the majority of just that process of
Yes.
staying alive. Your muscles are just the ones that like kind of idling. It's like leaving your truck running.
Yes.
Right?
There you go.
And it's burning, so if you decrease your muscles, you're gonna not be able to maintain that resting metabolic
Yeah, you really
rate.
just become more efficient in a bad way. We don't want to be efficient. We want to be burning through fat. We want to be utilizing glucose. We don't want to just be storing it because we know what it stores as, and it's nothing we want anything to do with.
Well, and it's okay. So it's not also, so keeping your muscle mass maintained is not also just about burning the engine, right? I mean, there are other, we talked about it being a big organ that has a lot of functions. There are other health benefits.
Yep.
Right.
I mean, a huge amount. I mean, this is a huge, we talked about the cardiovascular benefits. We could go on for days about those. I mean, having your muscles in good, like being strong, because we tend to, as the years go on in our life, we tend to decrease our overall muscle mass, certain amount of percentage per every decade of life. Really keeping that muscle mass on as you go through life is so important. So it's really hard to add it when you're 70, but if you can add it when you're in your younger years, your 40s, your 30s, 40s, 50s, you're starting at a higher level. So when you do get to 70, right?
It's like retirement account.
Retirement account. We talked about that. What was the saying that you said?
I'll have to go. I don't remember.
It's we wrote it down somewhere. The
muscle is like a reserve. Well, it's a reserve tank. It's a longevity organ, not just a strength organ. I don't know if that was it.
Yeah. Well, and then it was like a retirement account. You're building it now to be able to utilize it really later. Because we can't help the aging process. Even if we slow it down by you getting better.
Yeah. And it's as you age and naturally your body loses muscle mass, you become more frail, but part of that is because the muscle as an organ is protective. It's not just it's like a health bank account, not just energy. Maintaining your muscle mass it decreases your risk of dying, like your mortality risk decreases, like all cause decrease. You have by when you lose muscle mass, you increase the effects that an illness has on you. When you do get sick, you get the flu or COVID or whatever. You will tend to get sicker the less muscle mass you have. You have recovery from trauma is improved with maintained muscle mass. So I mean, it's just like this is repository of health benefit by having muscles maintained.
Absolutely.
It might not. I mean, it sounds intuitive to me, but there's good data that show all of these things.
Which is why we like a provider-led weight loss program. Sometimes if someone's just getting stuff online, or if they're doing, they're just kind of doing this willy-nilly, or even going to a provider that doesn't specialize in this and they're just getting prescription medications and not discussing this. The problem is that like what our argument for this is, and we have a lot of backing for this, is really that not all weight loss is good weight loss. Like you can lose good stuff. And so even though the scale number is lower,
weight loss itself does not equal health gain, right? Or health maintain.
It doesn't mean you're healthy just because you're skinny.
You lose. What you lose, it matters a lot. So how does one do this? Like what works? So we talk about, maintain your muscle mass. So take your GLP-1s, lose your weight, but don't lose your muscle weight. How do we do that?
We got to put them to work. You have to use your muscles. Any muscle you want to keep in your body, you have to use it. So, I mean, if you're not big into lifting weights or anything like that, come up with a full body workout regimen. There are endless supplies of these online. We'll talk to your medical provider if you're utilizing one. If you're not, and you're doing this on your own, there's plenty of resources online where you can go find and ease into a program. If you want to keep a muscle, you want to use it.
Okay, I'm going to commit right now. We should do an episode with a physical trainer,
right?
And go through some of these like physically what to do. But because a lot of people don't know, they're like, how do I exercise? What do I do? I don't have a gym membership. But using your muscles is really. There's 1,000 ways to.
And if you go from not using muscles to just using them a little bit, I mean, the difference, I mean, it eventually gets to the point where, like, if a bodybuilder is doing a few push-ups or a few sit-ups or things like that, he's probably not going to see much in the way of benefits there. Someone that's doing nothing and then goes to just doing a little physical activity. They're
Two
doing
times a
some
week.
push-ups and
Yeah.
they're doing a few things that are just really kind of engaging their muscles. I mean, the benefits are huge. And so it really comes down to just starting somewhere and doing something that's resistance in training. So walking, for example, we know that's like a really good thing. You're not probably going to get a lot of resistance in the muscles from walking. So, I mean, whether it is adding weights to your walking regimen, whether you grab
Or do a few push-ups, do some squats, do some, these big muscle groups, exercise them out.
Absolutely. You don't need a full gym membership or anything like that to be able to take advantage of this. You want to use your muscles, and that's so that you can keep them, especially if you're on a weight loss program, as the study that we talked about before. I mean, this is
hours and hours,
yes.
like 5 to 20 minutes starts to show improvement, right?
Absolutely. And you just feel so much better. There's not, I mean, who do you talk to? Where have you ever been in the situation where you've used your muscles, you've done some kind of workout, push-ups, sit-ups, anything, and you've gotten done and you're like, man, I really regret doing that. I just never, right? I mean, unless you hurt yourself. Now, there is the times where I would say men more than women.
My annual physical test in the Air Force.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I remember the APFT. Now, if you trained for it, right? If you worked yourself up to it, you were feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
If you just went in
when you go from nothing to all the things, we don't want you to do that. We want you to take it easy. But frequency also matters. Like we recommend 2 times a week minimum. Now, 4 times a week is great, but interestingly, if you look at the data on muscle gains, 1 time a week of resistance training, of exercise, these big muscle groups, if you do that once a week as opposed to 2 times a week, do you know how much gain there is compared to the 2 times a week versus the 1 times a week?
I know the 1 is exponentially more than even saying
0.
2.
Well, no, 2. So if you exercise 2 times a week, you get 4 times the gains compared to 1 time a week.
Wow. Oh, really?
It's not double, it's 4 times.
4. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So that's
so frequency matters. So even if you can do 2 times a week, that's what we recommend, kind of a minimum. If you can exercise 2 times a week, you're going to get 4 times the benefit from doing it 1 time a week.
Oh yeah, that's interesting.
Right?
So yeah, I mean, it's a coupling effect. You're adding on to it because I think it really exemplifies too, though. Like 2 times a week, right? I don't know that what the difference would be to go on 3 times a week, but rest does matter, right? No one's saying do this 7 days a week. No. And most people, if you said, hey, you can do this twice a week, most people can. That's something they can, bite off and chew for a bit.
Right.
We can do that
again, and that is a maintainable, sustainable lifestyle improvement.
Yeah.
Right?
I think absolutely. And I think it really just comes back down to trying to keep this simple. We talk about science stuff here, and we sometimes even use words that are maybe sometimes, if you're listening to this, overwhelming, where you're like, whoa, you're talking about all this metabolic health stuff and all that stuff. At the end of the day, we're actually a little bit simplistic to our approach to weight loss and how this all works. Use your muscles, feed your muscles with protein, because you did ask, how do we do this? Well, yes, when you're going to be using your muscles, we want to make sure that, really point out you also need to feed these muscles. Protein is the main primary source of what they need to be able to maintain and grow. So make sure you're getting 60 to 80 grams of protein at a bare minimum. If you become more active, you might need to bolster that up a bit, So, once again, good reason to talk to your medical provider and get some advice going that way. But if you get a bare minimum of 60 to 80 grams of protein for any normal average adult, that's probably a good amount and a bare minimum for just maintaining good muscle mass. I know that there's plenty of health experts on here that would, maybe argue with me and say, oh no, 1 gram per pound of body weight. Have you ever tried to eat 180 grams of protein? It is not, it's probably, it's a lot.
Only if they come in the form of Reese's Easter eggs.
I know, my goodness. If they just make some protein Reese's Easter eggs. There is some, but if they made like a protein,
if it tasted the same,
oh man,
that would be amazing.
Me and Rick would just be sitting here eating as we did these. Support your muscles. Water is a big part of the muscle too. Going back to kind of how we do this. Your muscles are made up of a significant amount of water.
Well, and water is important. All of the, we talk about the muscles being an organ that burns the fuel and does all these health benefits, but water really helps do all the chemical processes that muscles do.
Absolutely.
Or your whole body does. But.
Sure. So yeah, really, really pushing the fact that you need to get your protein, you need to be working out. I mean, according to obviously what Rick just said, 2 times a week at a minimum, right? If we can do more, great. But doing a full body exercise, finding creative ways, talking about the, hold on, I'm thinking of the acronym and then it just skipped my mind. I've actually been using it a lot in clinic. NEAT.
Oh,
non-exercise activity
thermogenesis.
So when you're doing your NEAT stuff, like your stuff of where you're
just a regular daily living.
Yeah, you're just doing stuff. Well, hey, I walked from my living room to my kitchen and I did lunges all the way there instead of just walking. I mean, you can find creative ways to really add in some extra exercise and some resistance to those muscles to not only help maintain them during weight loss, but even maybe enhance them.
I'm gonna do that over the next day. We had our like Easter. We had some family over for Easter dinner. I'm thinking maybe next time I have company, what I'll do is we'll serve the dishes, and as I go from the kitchen with a plate of food, I will enter doing lunges.
Oh,
no, don't worry about it. I'm being healthy.
Yeah, you might get some looks.
No, that's important. It's important. So takeaway on this, then you can lose weight and still get less healthy.
Sure.
Right. And the weight and the as you lose weight, the thing that maintains your health is exercise and maintaining your muscle. Right. Yeah. GLP-1 medicines and diets, they shrink your weight, but exercise builds your health. Is that a reasonable way to say that?
I think so too. And I think to emphasize the GLP-1s, bringing those back up is really just that GLP-1s alone have no mechanism built into them that take away muscle or bone. It is
just by themselves.
It is the weight loss that occurs with that, and it is not using those muscles in which then support good, healthy weight maintenance, which is your muscle and bone. The GLP-1s alone do not.
Yeah, they don't make your muscle disappear on their own. They help you. I reiterate, they are a tool, and they help you make better choices, and they help you eat less and take less calories in. But what your body does with that process is important, and you can drive that process by staying active, providing resistance training to your muscles, and really drive, what the effects of the medication and your dieting and those things are. Preferentially focus that on the fat that you want to lose and maintain the muscle that provides healthy longevity to your overall function.
Yeah. And if you haven't been doing a workout program, let's say that you're just getting back into it. You're listening to this episode and you're like, you know what? Rick and Greg convinced me. I'm going to go do this. If you haven't worked out since high school and now you're just getting back into it, don't think that you're still your high school self, right? Like ease back into this. I've had a few patients that got so excited about getting back into working out. They went and threw on the same weights that they did in high school, and they tried to do that. And they completed it. They were so dead after their workout. They couldn't work out for 2 weeks because they were so sore and tired and hurt.
That's a good lesson for me. I'm glad you said that, because my wife insists that when I get on my mountain bike, I still think I'm in junior high.
Yep.
And in fact, I think that's right. Like the first time I went to Sedona and rode a mountain bike around there.
Yeah.
I felt like it was like I'm 12 years old again.
Yeah.
This is so amazing. So I got to remind myself I'm not that person anymore.
You're not going to get the honeydews done.
I don't know if I believe that.
Down and out. I know.
Well,
mentally, maybe we're all still 12.
I'm 12.
Especially anyone that that's a male. We're all still 12 at heart. We just had to start.
We never got better.
We never got better. But really, just give your body some time. Ease into it so you can maintain that working out. Don't do one big workout only to be sore for 2 weeks, and then now you're not able to maintain.
Able to maintain this, and it's a lifestyle change, not just a one and done kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so get a body composition scale. That sometimes is helpful if you're a numbers person. And you want to focus on that. The body composition scales can kind of help you keep track of that and show you that you're, how well you're doing maintaining your muscle mass versus your visceral fat, your overall fat and body. So I think it's helpful.
Yeah,
Some people really like that feedback.
It's so interesting to watch when patients first start using, even just individuals, anyone I've talked to that started using a composition scale that wasn't previously doing that, right? Before it was like you were just focused on that one number, that scale, your relationship with gravity, as we've called it before. Yeah. And you're so hyper focused on that if it doesn't move, you have no concept of
what's happening.
Yeah, what's happening. Whereas they get a composition scale, all of a sudden you start watching your muscle, your fat, and it's almost like the weight at that point starts being the last number they look at. Yeah. And the first number they start focusing on is, how's my fat doing? How's my muscle doing? Where's my visceral fat?
My total body water.
Mm-hmm. It's so cool to watch people when they start looking at the other numbers and then start realizing, like, how do I feel? Right? I've been in the gym. I've been doing great. I fit in my clothes are fitting more loose, even though that number, maybe the scale didn't go down, or maybe it went down very minimally, like a pound or two. Yeah. But you're like, boy, my fat percentage dropped 2%. My muscle percentage went up. I'm feeling so much better. And you can really get just a better gauge on that.
So exercise, then it becomes the key to, we talked about like your muscle mass is like a retirement account, right? So exercise is sort of the way to increase your interest rate on your account, right? Yeah. It's the great multiplier. Totally. You get the exercise in, and that improves your cardiovascular health, decreases inflammation overall, maintains that muscle mass that we talked about, so important. Your bone density. Yeah. It makes the GLP-1 medications more effective. So there, it's like it's just that bank account. You build it now. The exercise you do now increases your return and later in life, and really increases your chances of having healthy longevity throughout the remainder of your life.
Yeah, absolutely. I really do look at it like, just like we talked about before, our retirement account. The earlier you start, the better, right? So outcomes for later on. But does that mean if you're 60 or 70 and listening to this podcast that it's too late? It's not. No. You just, sure. You've lived some life. Is it going to be like you were when you were 20? Probably not. But it's not too late to start. But the earlier you can start, if you are on that, side of, 30, 40, and you're like, look, I'm just ready to get this going. Then yes, of course, building that up, talk to the people that are 60 or 70, just getting going. Yeah. And they'll tell you, look, I wish I would have started this 2 decades ago.
Right. So. Okay. Yeah. So in short, then, a little summary, you don't need a big gym. You don't need big, heavy weights. You need consistency. You need a little bit of progression on that. But like consistency, even just 2 times a week, right, is awesome. Shows amazing muscle preservation and health benefits.
Let's talk about supplement of the week. We'll do, since it goes along with this, is whey protein. So we'll talk about protein supplementation. Protein supplementation with protein. I hit on whey protein specifically because whey protein is a complete protein. It has all the essential amino acids that you need to be able to be a complete protein. We like and support supplementation of protein where needed. Sometimes it's just really hard through just regular foods to be able to get all the protein you need. The benefits of supplementing protein are that you can hit those protein goals. You can give your muscle support quickly, right? You can do this through powder that you mix with any shake you want. You can do this through, they make protein gummies. They make clear protein pop. I mean,
those are so good.
There's just so many things that they make now. So figure out just what works for you. If you're not hitting your protein goals through your regular diet, supplement protein. Good whey protein, good old fashioned whey protein is probably your most complete form and most commonly readily available protein that's available. So, it's good for supplementation as far as getting your protein goals. I guess the disadvantage of supplementing with protein is sometimes it's not in your real food. So you do process it maybe a little bit quicker. It doesn't maybe keep you full quite as long. So, getting a mix of variety where you can get real foods with real protein. I wouldn't say real protein, but with protein, and then supplementing where you need just to be able to hit some protein goals is the benefit. Don't just have 3 protein shakes a day and that you're like, I'm good. I got my protein and all that. I just think that it really is, using supplementation and real foods where needed to be able to get those protein goals. And so whey protein's a great one. We're not really the brand snobs on this, like, get a good quality, protein, a good
and one that you like
Yeah.
the flavor or the consistency.
Oh, I've had some rough ones.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot that, we don't want this to be miserable. Again, it's not sustainable if it's nasty.
Yep.
So, and different people have different, favorites.
Yep. Totally.
It's good.
So use it.
All right. We do recommend meeting with your medical provider before starting any exercise program or other weight loss program. But again, we do recommend that because it's important to have that accountability and just the personalization of what's working for you and what might need to be added or taken away.
Absolutely.
So do that. And we hope that this helps you be healthier ever after.